People are itching to see progress in the new Sandman series. I have to say, I haven't seen more eagerness and apprehension on the same show since Lord of the Rings came out. People are desperately wanting it to be good, while fearing the worst. Let's be frank, Sandman is the quintessential 90s comic book. It was genre-defining for Vertigo. That makes it very difficult to adapt into a different formula. So, let's talk about what we do and what we don't want. What we want? Number one is a mostly faithful adaptation. Yes, modifications will have to take place to adjust to the different medium. However, I want to keep the same basic outline of the stories. The audiobook showed that it was possible to change the format and keep essentially every iconic line. I want Sandman, not an in-name only adaptation. Number two, I want to exploit the dream logic. Most of the story takes place in the dreaming, and much of the rest involves literal gods and the personification of reality. I want random weird stuff to be the norm. Slow down, take your time, explore. When it was announced, I was a bit disappointed that it wasn't being translated into an anime. A slow, thoughtful place that takes time to smell the roses would fit Sandman much better than an upbeat action show. Number three, go everywhere. I know that a common complaint I have is when movies lack focus, but the episodic format of television has similar advantages to comic books. Morpheus might be the protagonist, but there are entire volumes where he barely appears. The entire focus of the series is on telling stories, and that shaped the entire world of Vertigo. We need to keep it that way. I want to explore the extended world. Bring in House of Mystery. Do an adaptation of High Cost of Living and Dream Hunters. Show Lucifer and the Dead Boy detectives getting into trouble. I would also like to see more integration into the wider DC universe. After Preludes and Nocturnes, that idea was mostly abandoned, with the Endless showing up once or twice a decade in the main universe and barely interacting with their superheroes. Why not bring in the Justice League? I think Netflix still has Henry Cavill on contract. In fact, I wish American Gods could be included, because let's be frank, that was written as a Sandman story. But I'm certain contracts with Amazon will prohibit that, and the interaction with Warner will probably limit the amount you could draw in the remainder of the DC characters. However, in many ways, Sandman was more deserving of the title Mystery Theater than the earlier book of that title. I want to keep that sort of unexpected narrative. What wild dream will the Lord of Stories take us on tonight? Will it be tragedy, comedy, horror, musical? Will we be following Greek gods, Lucifer, Shakespeare, or a minor character from last season who's now a protagonist? Think of the possibilities. On the other hand, there are some things I definitely don't want. Most importantly, excessive boobies. Alright, I like nudity as much as the next man, but mature is not the same as prurient, and Sandman falls heavily into fan disservice with much of its nudity, which is a bit excessive at times. If you check out the books from the library, I would heavily suggest you not read them there. You will have full frontal with little to no warning, and likely as not, it's not a good situation. The first 3 books include 5 separate rapes, and if they dare to make any of those scenes sexy, I'll vomit. In fact, I might vomit in 24 hours anyway, but that's supposed to be horrific. Even outside the sex scenes, Despair never wears a stitch of clothing, and Delirium's shirt randomly disappears despite her consistently looking underage. And a lot of the women are randomly topless for no apparent reason. I don't mind where it's appropriate, such as Ishar's Last Dance. So sexy it makes the strip club explode. But please, don't try and make the violence titillating. Going forward, they're going to have to change Despair's design. I think the easiest way would be to put her in sackcloth. It would fit her penitence and self-mutilation theme, and I really hope they don't linger too long on her self-cutting. I'm still a bit squeamish about what she did after her talk with Delirium, and I really don't want to see that more realistically. On a related note, Delirium isn't a sex symbol. She's a tragic example of how the evils of the universe have destroyed the fundamental nature of delight. Please compare to how Delirium is treated in the official art versus fanworks. While the fan art is full of eye candy, officially, you just want to give her a hug and tell her things are alright. Helping Delirium is one of the few truly nice things that Desire ever did, and even Destruction came back from his self-imposed exile to take care of her in Endless Nights. Don't treat this sick, broken girl as a sex symbol. Similarly, I don't want to change the Endless into superheroes. They are explicitly not. Dream doesn't arrest the attendees of the serial killer convention, or execute Dr. Destiny. Delirium casually drives a traffic cop insane for no real reason, and Dream doesn't even bother to fix the poor man. When Luther confronts Death about the Blackest Night, she just mentioned that it looked like everyone was having fun. In fact, Dream's lack of morality is key to the climax in Kindly Ones. This is important, as they are more than gods, and definitely wield story-breaker power if they chose to interfere. This is the same problem that plagues Marvel's new Eternals movie. If they are so powerful, why do they not help when all seems lost? Why doesn't Death let babies live? It's because she's not a hero. She is Death. It's her job and function not to interfere. By keeping their personality the same, we can keep this separation without making them look negligent. To the Endless, who rules Earth is just politics, and the Endless do not involve themselves in politics. On a related note, I want to ensure political lecturing is kept down. The original was outspoken on some topics, such as Wanda being transgender. However, it never felt the blatant advocacy that Hellblazer did. I know I've talked about this panel repeatedly in the comments, but it sums up the problem with that series in a single glance. When you show demons chanting for a real political party or candidate, you've gone off the deep end. And I don't want this to happen to Sandman. Finally, I don't want them to change Desire. This, I think, is going to be most controversial. Desire is a classic 90s depraved bisexual, whose fervent coveting of everything is her most fundamental existence. Don't forget, Desire is directly responsible for half of the rapes in the series. I do worry that Netflix will balk at the non-binary pansexual character being so openly villainous. However, this is also core to Desire's character. You can't make Desire less villainous without countering the premise of being an anthropomorphic personification of covetousness. So, those are my thoughts. What I want, what I don't want. At this point, all we can do is hope and wait. So thanks for listening, y'all. And I would like to hear everything that you want and don't about this upcoming Sandman series.